Welcome back to day 2 of the Phocuswright Conference. We're Phocuswire with our pundit shows. We've got lots of these over the next few days. It's very early in the morning here, so thank you very much to everybody for coming along and for streaming in around the world on the internet, so thank you very much. So our pundit shows, we pretend that it's half-time at the football game. We've gathered a team of industry experts or retired former players, if you take the sporting analogy a little bit, and we're going to debate some of the things that have been going on over the last few days, what the talk is in the corridors, and what we're looking forward to over the next couple of days. So I think we're going to start with you, Nathan, from Travelport. So you saw a lot of the, let's say, innovation in inverted commas being showcased yesterday on the main stage. I mean, is there anything in particular, let's start with the positive, is there anything in particular that you thought, wow, that was great. If I had some money in my back pocket now, I would go and give it to them and hope that I could become an equity owner in that business.
Yeah, I mean, startups are my space. Travel tech startups are my space. I spent most of the day watching the presentations yesterday, and I thought there were some very clear trends that are pretty interesting. I don't know, I want to say which companies I'd place a bet on, but I think the trends that are obvious and are probably going to continue would be things like treating the entire user experience instead of just simply focusing on shop, book for air, hotel, rental car. Right, I think we're seeing that space pretty well locked in, but now we're treating the traveler journey as a complete user experience. So I think a couple of companies focused on beaches, which is super niche. And it interests. I think everybody in the room wanted to be a beach inspector, but
that's a tough job to have, right? A beach inspector.
So I think new types of content, obviously, whether it's actually something, a spot on the beach that may be sold. You know, I can see a day when a spot on the beach could be transacted through an OTA, right? Why not? If you're booking a vacation, book your cabana at the same time you book your hotel.
Yeah.
But also we saw a ton of metadata, so information around the content. A lot of geodata talked about yesterday, ratings, this notion of hotspots, so giving people the flavor of a space and not just the very sort of bland specifics.
Yeah, I mean, Fraser, I mean, Nathan says there that the traditional things are all locked down now. You must be, you said car rental and flights and hotels. I mean, you must be quite pleased then, because that means there's no one going to come along and disrupt what you do, right?
Clearly, thanks for letting me know that. Sure. Nathan, it's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you what, I think I saw a few of the pitches yesterday. I tell you what I liked. I liked the fact there was a real variety. So you had some of that real kind of innovation, that beachinspector.com one that Nathan's talking about. It's something kind of left field that you weren't expecting, but had the potential to add real value, linking the hotel with the beach. But I like the fact there was some traditional pitches. So there was one that was basically uplift, pay monthly. Providing credit and pay monthly has been around for decades, and yet here's a business that's got connected with a number of really big US airlines and just announced recently, yesterday, Lufthansa, and providing a really simple payment methodology for customers that actually allows some to book a holiday and a trip that possibly couldn't have afforded it, and those that can afford it actually to upgrade. So a real ability to monetize for businesses and drive greater margins and conversion. So I like the fact there was that real variety yesterday, from avant-garde right back to just basic stuff that actually is solving customer problems.
Well, one of the avant-garde things that was seen yesterday was the vacuum cleaner, the automatic vacuum
the Maidbot.
Maidbot, which was quite extraordinary, I must say. So, I mean,
I did think on that, though, Kevin. The first thing I thought when I looked at it was, what about all the mess and the rubbish people leave on the floor? How does it deal with that? I mean, it's quite an interesting.
You may just be speaking from your own personal experience, of course. But
it'll be an 80-20
I couldn't
rule,
possibly
right?
say. I was speaking for Nick.
So, I mean, Simon, you're in a different kind of world to these guys, because they're big established companies, and you are a startup, of course. So what does it all mean to you?
And I guess I'll wear the jersey of my team, which is the tours and activity space. I think there were not enough representation of that yesterday. They were a great startup pitching Redeem about QR code and voucher paperless redemption. So that was a very interesting one. I think we have to do more than that as an industry to get more tours and activities. That we've been called the kids of the industry. We've been called the last frontier. We've been called. I think there's an awareness.
I fear that we have called them in various guises the last frontier for quite a long time. So you can blame the media for that a little bit. But I think what's quite interesting is that and Redeem they won their particular category yesterday. Is that one of the threads that came out of some of the other pundit shows that we've been doing is that it is a genuine. They've found a genuine problem, and they've solved it.
And it's called innovation. And
yeah,
I think
that's
there's a lot
innovation,
of that
right?
coming into the tours and activity space.
Yeah, and would you say then? Well, I presume you are going to say yes because you are in the space. But tours and activities kind of went a bit quiet for a year or so, compared to how it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then in the last week, we've had a huge funding round into Klook and an even bigger funding round into Get Your Guide. We've had Redeem win here. Is this people are waking up to it again for a second time, or what's going on?
I don't think it's a second. They're waking up to it. I think it's a second acceleration. There were a lot of startups working in the background with the OTAs to do the plumbing. So there's a lot of B2B startups. Rezdy is one of them, and others that have come to maturity now and help the OTAs to get access to inventory, real-time availability, pricing, etc. So I think the industry needed its backbone to be a bit stronger, to be able to grow as an adult.
Okay.
And I think the B2B startups that are getting more mature now have done a fantastic job in getting the small tour operator online. And now the OTAs can very much leverage that inventory and sell it. Okay,
I'm glad you said the backbone of the industry because that's one of the taglines that we've been using for Phocuswire in our launch time. But I mean, talking of backbones of the industry, Nathan at Travelport, I know you don't like to call yourselves just the GDS anymore. You're a travel technology services company, digital commerce platform. I think is the current
travel commerce platform.
Your travel commerce platform, but tours and activities is an interesting one because you make so much money from air, a little bit more, a little bit less, say, from non-air or beyond air, I think.
Hotels.
Yep. Where does tours and activities and other stuff fit into your kind of world and how important you see it? Because it's clearly important to all these people that are throwing lots of money at it, right?
Right. Well, as the guy tasked with innovation at Travelport, right, I tend to...
That's why we asked you to come on today.
Think of my headlights shining a little further down the road. I mean, today tours and activities play very little role in, obviously, the content that we distribute. I think the question is, so hopefully the question is, in the future, is that likely to change? We were talking before in the green room, and I think tours and activities are sort of the wild, wild west of travel content, right? And it's so really exciting to see companies like Fair Harbor, like you guys, getting their arms around that supply. I certainly would expect over the next few years that we see a GDS-like structure for tours and activities. I think that's inevitable.
From within the existing GDS world or from somebody else?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, car rental, it's not as complicated and scattered as tours and activities is, but it's fairly complicated, isn't it? I mean, the car rental industry has gone through all this already.
Yeah, I mean, look, in many respects, I think the underlying dynamics around tours and activities, yes, there's one aspect where everyone's kind of interested now in the trip, in the overall trip, in the share of that wallet, and actually making it easy for customers to do what they want to do when they're on a trip. I think that's one aspect why people are interested, and lots of businesses and travel businesses are interested in that broader now portfolio of products. I think part of the reason though people are so interested and excited by it is there's an underlying dynamic, I think, globally, especially with the more developed travel sort of nations for more experiences.
Okay.
So I think with consumers there's an underlying experiential growth. Therefore, that's part of the reason you're seeing a lot of these businesses start up, because that underlying dynamic is there, and people are not just looking for the beach holiday that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that satisfied their needs. They're looking to get more from their trip.
And that's what I meant by the basic stuff being locked down. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of innovation and distribution and retail of air, car, and hotel. But what we're seeing, I think the big trend in the industry right now is treat the entirety of the travel experience, from discovery all the way through to sharing, and every stop along the way. And tours and activities make up a tremendous amount of share of wallet for a trip.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and Simon, we'll bring you in here. I mean, are we just saying this because of it's a trend, or are we saying this because there's a shift in technology that's allowing this to happen? Because people still went and visited a museum in the 70s, in the 80s. They haven't just suddenly started going to museums. I mean, people talk a lot about, oh, it's food tourism. People still ate when they went on holiday. So, I mean, what's the difference now?
I think there's two clear trends. The first one is the reason why people travel, and
Right.
a lot of people realize that you don't travel to stay in a hotel. Basically, you really travel to experience the place and to see something that it's on your bucket list, for example. So it's all about the experience. And I really think that's a big shift we're going to see in the travel industry, that it will be an experience-led industry, more than an airline and accommodation industry. And that's what excites me. The other thing is going back to the GDS and the incomes. The GDS surely are making a lot of money with airlines, but there's also the travel agents that are not making so much commission on that. The airlines are very, or the commission on tickets are very small, if any. Tours and activity offer in Rezdy in average 18.6% commission. So
But it's still a low unit rate, though, compared to an airline ticket.
It's a lower ticket, but the average basket, for example, in Rezdy is about $320.
Okay.
So it's a two adult and a child kind of day tour. So there is a lot of money to be made as commission for travel agent as well.
Okay. And from my view, I think the trend is that we're starting to push further and further for harder problems to solve. So there's only a few hundred airlines, so aggregating that data is relatively easy compared to the few thousand or tens of thousands of hotels, compared to the hundreds of thousands or millions of tours. And so we're looking for the next harder problem to solve, but at the same time, the cost of developing the technology to solve that problem is going down, both from a how to develop it and how to run it perspective.
And that's where the startup like Rezdy come in play by aggregating this content.
And it's been so fragmented. You know, the tours and activity is still massively fragmented. So you've got businesses that are really doing the hard work to connect all this choice together and make it simple for customers to pick and choose. That's
It was Robert Cole on one of our pundits yesterday was saying it's the plumbing that's becoming important
absolutely.
now, rather than the water that comes out of the tap.
Yep.
So let's just move on a little bit. We don't have a lot of time left, but we talked a lot about tours and activities, of course, but what other things would you like to have heard? What other types of technology or just problems that you think still need solving? We'll start with you, Simon.
Okay, I think there's a lot of buzzword that I don't necessarily enjoy, such as artificial intelligence and this sort of thing.
We got 14 minutes into the show before someone said artificial intelligence. It's great.
Exactly.
So
It's amazing.
But exactly my point. It's been overused and not a lot of people understand what it really is. And I think we're very far from having commercial use into the travel industry of that. So I don't think there's. I would like to see more topics. I think I would like to see more depth into a fewer number of topics.
Sure. Okay, Fred.
sorry, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
More depth into a fewer number of topics, basically. Not throwing big buzzwords just to be trendy or to try to fundraise. But really trying to explain in depth what the innovation and technology can do.
Okay.
My favourite title for one of the sessions yesterday was trying to put the I into AI, which
rather than the A.
Well, and rather than just the lack of it, and it seems to be just the classic sort of this year's, possibly last year's kind of buzzword.
Yeah.
So I just, I like getting back to basics, Kevin. I like when you hear people solving customer problems, and not just data and intelligence for the sake of it. So that's when I hear these events, people trying to solve genuine customer problems.
Tell me, what's a problem that still exists in the car rental sector?
Nothing we've solved at all, completely. No,
I don't believe you, so give us one at least.
No, I think you look at the sort of car rental sector, there's still a lot of complexity, generally. And some of the, is the process for renting a car frictionless? is it easy and simple? It's a bit like booking into a hotel. It's nowhere near as easy as simple as it should be.
Yeah.
So as an industry, we've got to do a lot more to actually make that journey.
Yeah.
It's not so much the booking experience, which kind of is frictionless, but it's the pickup and the drop off. That part of it,
Yeah.
we've got to do a lot more as an industry. And we like to think we're kind of leading the way on that in rental cars, but actually, there's an awful lot we need to do with all our partners to drive a far slicker and easier and simple pick-up and drop-off experience.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Nathan, I'm always quite curious that in the last few years, we've had a lot of travel companies who've said, let's get ourselves a lab. I think a lab's really great, yeah, and you are one of them. Your competitors do it. Airlines are doing it. What's your motivation really for creating a lab, apart from giving you a great job, obviously?
Yeah, I think we're doing it very differently than any of our competitors.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to say that we're each doing it.
No, but I'm just talking about the conceptually.
Sure. I think the big companies get big by doing a relatively small set of things really, really, really well, right? So the risk is obviously that something that's going to impact you escapes your observation, right? So part of what a lab has to do is shine those headlights a little further down the road to give you the long view of the market, to help you figure out which things you should be paying attention to and which things are noise and you can ignore. When doing that, you have to get really good at testing ideas quickly and inexpensively. That means intentionally embracing risk, right? Big organizations are designed to find risk and eliminate it. So it helps to have a structure that's intentionally designed to embrace risk within that company that's designed to find risk and eliminate it. So I think that's probably the reason for labs.
So you're in your second wave now, or
We've just finished our 4th cohort for the Startup Accelerator.
Oh, okay.
The program itself is about 3 years old now.
Oh, okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful would you say it's been?
Gosh, it depends on how you measure success. I'm sure my boss is
10
watching.
being brilliant.
Yeah.
9. Okay. Okay, that's great. Little bit of fun to end with, guys. It's our Q&A lottery.
Okay.
All right.
So put your hand in here, pull out a question, read it out and answer as quickly as you can, and then pass the bag on. There you go.
Please.
Read out the question.
Who's the person you most admire in your organization?
Boy.
That will be the first business angel that invested in Rezdy and took all the risk and trusted us.
Right. Nathan?
When was the last time you spoke to one of your customers? Yesterday.
Okay.
My one is, what are the gaps in your knowledge and experience in the travel industry? Not knowing enough about his business.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Another one, Simon?
What question do you never want to be asked in interviews? I never want to be asked what question I never want to be asked.
Very good.
Recursive.
Nathan, you're next.
Next. How do you motivate your team? I can talk about this one all day. Super fortunate to have a team that just loves startup culture, and they come to work every day thinking, what can I do to help the teams in our program?
Would you
to
consider
launch
yourself a good
successfully?
leader?
Would I consider myself a good leader?
Yeah.
Most days.
Most
But,
days.
Yeah, we all have our moments. Yeah,
Okay,
I've
that's
had
very honest
notable
of you.
failures
That
for
is very
sure.
honest.
Yeah.
My one, what is the biggest threat to the travel industry?
Yeah.
Easy, that one. Priceline Group.
Apart from your parent company, what is the biggest threat?
I think the geopolitical elements that we've seen the last few years and will continue to see.
Okay, so that's environmental and political.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so thank you very much to Fraser, to Nathan, and to Simon.